Hello students, I am Dr. Saliha Jamal, Faculty Department of Geography from Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. So students, welcome you all in today's lecture. Here we are with the course Climate Change Vulnerability and Adaptation, and today's topic of discussion is Initiatives for Sustainable Development. This topic is in continuation to the previous lecture. If you remember student, we have started this week mainly through the how to develop the adaptation towards the climate change, the resilience towards the climate change, where the sustainable development goals are playing a very important role. So, we have discussed all the sustainable development goals, and in particular in the previous lecture we have discussed the goal number 13, that is climate action. Now, today we are going to discuss what are the initiatives which has to be taken in order to achieve the sustainable development, particularly all the sustainable development goals. So, actually these initiatives are the objectives to achieve the goals. So, if we talk about the initiatives for the sustainable development, these are becoming more and more important in order to address the urgent problems of the social injustice, poverty, and more it is focused on environmental degradation. So, mainly focusing on environmental degradation, through which various types of injustice and poverty is very much related, that will help a lot to achieve certain goals, that is the SDG goals by 2030. The goal of these program mainly entails to satisfy the current demands without endangering the capacity of future generation to satisfy their own. We have discussed when we were talking about the sustainable development goals, what I have said, what does sustainable development means, because it consists of two words, sustainable and development. If we talk about sustainable, means to continue for the long time. Mainly if we talk about the resources sustainability, means continuing the resources for the long time. And when we talked about the another word, development, I have told you students that the concept of development has changed from time to time. Previously it was only related to the economic development, where we have recklessly, without thinking the repercussions on our environment, we have used certain resources. Then the development concept changed towards the by development by integrating all other sectors like social development, economic development, cultural development, political development. We started to talk about, means development does not mean the only economic development, but it means the integrated development. Again, then the concept was shifted. If you remember, I have discussed, that is maintaining the ecological balance with the developmental aspects, and now we are talking about the sustainable development, means whatever we are enjoying now, whatever the resources we are enjoying now, that should be continued to be enjoyed by our future generation. That is why the goal of this program is mainly to satisfy the current demands of the population without endangering the capacity of the future generation in order to satisfy their own. This is what the main focus of the sustainable development. If we talk about the FDI, that is Foundation for Development Initiatives, who has developed these initiatives for sustainable development, it has worked, this FDI has worked for more than 2 decades in order to create these development programs, initiatives to promote resilience and community progress. That is why these initiatives are playing very important role. Now, understanding the sustainable development initiative becomes very important. Until and unless we understand its initiatives, then through these initiatives only we can achieve the goal. Mainly it projects the projects and programs. There are n number of projects and programs which are mainly aimed at achieving the long term economic, social and environmental sustainability, because when we are talking about the sustainability, the instant programs which can reduce certain impacts or ill impacts of the climate change and other things, but in order to reduce, in order to continue, because we are talking about here the sustainability continue for the long, we have to think about long term solutions. So this initiatives mainly has the projects and programs which aims to achieve long term economic, social and environmental sustainability and are known as sustainable development initiatives. Because already if you remember, I have talked about it, sustainable development, it talks about all the sectors, development of all the sectors, whether it is social, political, economical, cultural, etc., with maintaining the ecological balance and sustaining it for the long. That is why the main it takes three initiatives, means the environmental aspect, that is of natural resource and environmental protection. Then it takes social aspects, that cultural identity, social inclusion, civil rights, etc. Then economic aspect, wealth creation, property, employment. These three things are related to all the other things in one way or the other. So if these three sectors are to be focused, and then only it is possible to achieve the goals. That's why mainly the projects and programs which aimed at achieving long-term economic, social and environmental sustainability are known as sustainable development initiatives. These projects mainly focuses on developing the solution that will strike the balance between the demand of the people and the environment. Why I am talking here that it is finding out certain solutions which should strike the balance between the demand of the people and the environment in order to have the sustainability. Here you can take the example, as the demand of the people we are talking about with the increase of population is rising. Think about the consumption pattern of the energy which mainly comes from the fossil fuels. So actually this project will develop certain solution to strike the balance between the demand of the fossil fuels, people and the environment, mainly maybe in the terms of shifting towards the cleaner and more environment friendly energy, for example solar energy, geothermal, tidal energy, wind energy, etc. So thus a balance is to be created between the demand of the people and the environment by preventing the progress in the present form coming at the expense of the future generation. This is the focus theme of this initiative. So among the fundamental ideas what we are thinking about the sustainable development, these three are the core sectors: environmental protection, social equity and economic viability. Overall these three sectors together they proceeds towards the sustainability. Means if we talk about the environmental protection, that is making the certain that ecosystems and natural resources are maintained, and several initiatives for this have been devised. How to certain, how to focus on the preservation of certain ecosystem and the natural resources in order to maintain its sustainability for the future generation. Similarly, if we talk about the social equity, actually this has the idea which ensures that everyone in the society has access to certain resources, has access to the opportunities and overall resources that will be promoted by justice and equality. So this is the mainly idea of social equity. Which community, what type of people needs what type of opportunities and resources, that will create social equity. Economic viability, this is also one of the pillar of this idea of sustainable development. Actually the economic viability generally explains the development of sustainable economic opportunities that prevent resource depletion. That's why it is very much important. What are the different elements of the programs for the sustainable development? Again, as we have seen the ideas, what are the ideas of this sustainable development that has to be considered? Those ideas will be regarded as the elements of the programs for sustainable development, like environmental sustainability. Basically, if we talk about the environmental sustainability, it is pretty sure that it will seek to reduce the pollution, it will seek to produce, rebuild the certain deteriorated ecosystem and to preserve and conserve certain ecosystem, and it also encourages the wise use of the natural resources for their sustainability. So, it may include certain initiatives like water conservation, renewable energy development, reforestation, afforestation, etc. These types of initiatives can play a very important role in environmental sustainability. Similarly, the second idea which has been transformed into the elements of the program for the sustainable development is the social sustainability. This social sustainability particularly focuses to raise everyone's standard of living in the community, because if one standard of living is encouraged, we can say it is raised, then certainly the various parameters related to it in terms of the employment, education, health, that will improve with a. So, it particularly emphasizes, this social sustainability particularly emphasizes to the vulnerable and marginalized group, which are the most unprivileged group who do not have access to the certain basic resources. So, these programs may include certain initiatives and the attempts to advance social inclusion, gender equality, as well as access to social services, healthcare and education. Now, the third idea of that we talked about, economic viability, which has been transformed into the element of sustainable development as economic sustainability. Actually, it refers to the development of long-term steady economic opportunities that will support the livelihoods without consuming too many resources. So, main focus is to encourage the opportunities of employment, livelihood without consuming or depleting too many resources. So, this is important to note. So, certain initiatives like helping the small enterprises by certain incentives, subsidies, by encouraging the sustainable agriculture, mainly the small landholders, the farmers having small land holding, and by creating certain skill and training programs. These are the few of the initiatives which can help to achieve the economic sustainability. So, basically these are the three elements of sustainable development, that is environmental sustainability, social sustainability and economic sustainability. Now, after completing these elements, it becomes very important to discuss the significance of this sustainable development initiatives. Just by devising the sustainable development goal, we cannot achieve it. Always, in order to achieve certain goals, we need certain objectives, we need certain initiatives through which we can attain the particular goal. That's why here the significance of initiative lies. If we see, the sustainable development initiatives are very much important for several reasons. Example, in order to get the long term benefits, these sustainable development programs mainly it strives for long term advantages. If we see opposite to the short term ones that offer just instantaneous but transient assistance. That's why in order to avoid this, we have to strive for long term advantages. Generally, this long term benefit develops long lasting solutions that will continue to be useful for very long time. Just now we are talking about the deforestation, we are talking about the awareness among the people regarding the climate change. These are the long term initiatives. Deforestation is to be reduced. Why we are talking about afforestation, reforestation? Because these are such initiatives which will benefit for the longer time. Secondly, it is also important for resource conservation because it contributes, the initiatives generally contributes to the conservation and preservation of essential natural resources for upcoming generation to maintain the sustainability, mainly by emphasizing the sustainable ways and use of these resources. It is very much important in a world where deforestation is going at a very higher rate, climate change is continuing and various other environmental issues are prevalent. So, it becomes very much necessary to conserve and preserve the natural resources. Thirdly, it is very much important in order to develop the community resilience, because when this program will increase the community resilience by tackling the underlying causes of the climate change, by tackling the inequality and poverty that is the major cause of this climate change, then only we can induce community resilience. This makes communities more resilient towards the environmental, social and economic disasters. Even if we talk about its importance, the empowerment and ownership is also becomes very much important, because these programs frequently encourage community, the ownership thing, the empowerment. This will certainly encourage the community to participate actively, which promotes a feeling of empowerment and ownership among the community. So, certainly they will come forward to develop resilience against the climate. Sustainability initiatives are very much likely to succeed when the local communities are involved in the development and executions of the certain measures related to the climate change. Overall, a holistic approach is needed for the sustainable development. That is why the initiatives for the sustainable development, it adopts a holistic strategy, means tackling several interconnected problems at once. The community as a whole should gain from more through the efficient solution is the need of the hour. So, how this sustainable development initiatives helps the community growth? How we are being helped through these initiatives of the sustainable development goals? Actually, these initiatives helps in the economic growth and the livelihoods. Primarily, it promotes community progress by encouraging enhancing livelihoods and by opening up various economic opportunities through the skill development, through the education, by training, capacity building, etc. For example, by providing the resource and skills to the community members, they will have better opportunity. For example, by providing resource and skills to the community members, they will have the better opportunity to find out the steady work and to make money. If we see the direct planting of rice, which is DSR, the crop residue management, organic farming, agroforestry, water efficient irrigation techniques are some of the techniques that is taught to farmers in order to have economic growth and in order to have a steady livelihood. So, these methods, particularly what I am talking about, the crop residue management, organic farming, agroforestry, water efficient irrigation techniques. So, these are the methods which will lead to more sustainable living by protecting the environment and even increasing the productivity. How this initiative helps in the community growth? The second most important thing, it helps to improve the health and the well-being. We know having a good health is the right of every people. It is very much essential element of this sustainable development. Actually, the community development is very much impacted by the initiatives, just like improvement, we are talking in improvement in nutrition, sanitation and access to health care. So, these things will improve the health and the well-being. For example, in certain policies and programs, there are measures for building the clinics, giving immunizations and educating local healthcare professionals are some of the initiatives of this program which will achieve good health and well-being for the people. So, actually these initiatives, they raise the life expectancy, enhance mother and child health and lower the occurrence of the diseases. So, communities are mainly guaranteed for consistent access to clean drinking water, which is the basic need of each and every individual, and sanitary facilities. So, we should thank to the water and sanitation initiatives for this, and which has improved a lot. Certainly, it also helps in the community growth with respect to the education and skill development. These initiatives mainly focuses on having access to high quality education, inclusive education, skill building, capacity building which empower people and foster community development. So, certain measures for building schools, preparing teachers, offering scholarships like certain incentives like midday meal are some of the common components of education development initiatives. Mainly the children and adults, even the people of all age group can gain certain information and skills that will certainly lead to newer opportunities by investing in their education. So, training programs in the fields like sustainable agriculture, information technology and renewable energy, for example, these all gives community the skills they need for new job market, because lot of innovations in the industrial sector, agricultural sector is going on. That is why sustainable agriculture, information technology and renewable energy will help a lot people to get job in the new market. It also helps in the growth of the community through environmental stewardship. We know that communities are generally assisted, they are helped to mitigate, to adapt to the environmental difficulties, and this is the prerequisite condition. If we get adapted to the ongoing changes, if we prepare ourselves for the ongoing changes, that will help a lot to reduce the ill effects of the climate change. So, mainly the communities are assisted in mitigating and adapting the environmental difficulties through various initiatives just like reforestation, waste management, renewable energy and sustainable land use. So, majority of reforestation initiatives that will not only help to stop deforestation, but it will also give people access to various resources like fruits, lumber and medicinal plants. And second example, you can take installing solar panels in one of the best examples of renewable energy project that will help communities to get clean and affordable electricity while reducing their need for fossil fuels. The thing is here, the initial installation, the incentives in the initial installation for these solar panels or wind energy should be provided by the government. So, overall these programs improve social and economic well-being while promoting environmental sustainability. Even the community growth through these initiatives can also be achieved through social inclusion and equity. These initiatives mainly focuses to build inclusive communities, reduce disparities, give some focus and attention to the unprivileged group with equal access to the resources and opportunities for all. Particularly, the programs for the women empowerment, for example, concentrate on increasing the women's economic prospects, increasing their role in political aspect in bureaucracy, expanding their access to healthcare and education, that these all things will advance gender equality. That is why these initiatives support communities and make them more resilient and egalitarian by addressing the unique demands and difficulties that women experience. So, through this the community growth will achieve a greater height. Another aspect through which community is benefited through these initiatives is the community empowerment and participation. For devising any policy or program for certain sector, now it becomes very much important to include the local people because they experience, they face certain ill impacts of the disaster. So, through their experience and how they face and how they manages in the time of emergency, their experience will play a very important role in formulating certain policies and mitigation measures. So, the community members should have a greater stake in success of initiatives when they are actively involved in their conception, execution and oversight. So, giving community members a say guarantees that the projects are sustainable, successful and it is pertinent. Now here, after discussing how these initiatives are playing very important role to achieve the sustainable development, it will become more clear by taking certain case studies where the sustainable development initiatives are in action. The first case study I have taken here, renewable energy project in the rural areas. Actually, these projects, they provide sustainable power solution in the rural villages with limited electricity. Particularly, FDI launched a renewable energy project which aims to provide the sustainable power solutions to the rural villages. Here the resident receives maintenance training, which is very much important in order to cut the cost for the further management of this particular installation like solar panels and all. So, residents receives generally the maintenance training for the solar panels that were installed on the community facilities. Actually, this project reduces the community's need on the costly and environmentally harmful fossil fuel, which is regarded as a major contributor to the climate change. So, access to power improves educational performance also by enabling the student to study even after the dark and thriving local companies. The project supports sustainability and economic growth by providing various jobs for the local technicians who maintained the solar panels. So, this is one of the successful case study has been observed. Another case study here we have taken about the sustainable agricultural initiative. To combat with the environmental degradation and food hunger, we know the climate change is impacting the agriculture sector because this is the directly we can say a climate sensitive sector. So, changes in the temperature and precipitation regime which is causing various harm to the crops, it is reducing the yield of the certain crops, even it is depleting the soil fertility with the use of high rate of fertilizer, pesticide, insecticide, etc. So, in order to combat this environmental degradation and food hunger, FDI launched a sustainable agriculture project at certain places where the farmer received training how to conserve soil, how to manage soil. They also receive training about the advantages of crop diversification, how to perform organic farming practices in least cost. Even the plots for the demonstration were set up in order to highlight the advantages of these methods. Generally, the farmers benefited from higher crop yields through the lower expenses, many related to the chemical pesticides and fertilizers as a result. So, more resilient agricultural system resulted from the initiative, enhancement of soil health and promotion of biodiversity. Thus, this project was also through these initiatives was seen to be successful. Another case study here taken as is the Women's Empowerment and Livelihood Program. Now here FDI's Women's Empowerment Program is particularly for the marginalized community, basically to increase women access to economic possibilities, because if we see data, if we analyze data, less number of women are mainly found in different sectors, taking decisions, mainly making decision in political field, or if we are talking about the bureaucracy, corporate world. So, actually it is to help and to increase the number in various economic sector. So, several vocational skills, financial literacy and entrepreneurship training classes were offered to solve this problem. From food processing to handicraft, women were assisted even for launching the small enterprises who are not highly qualified. As women gained economic independence, they made several contributions to the community development and even in their children's education, which helped a lot further for the future generation. So, social cohesiveness and gender equality increased through these initiatives as a result of programs' knock-on effect. So, overall students, it can be said that to achieve certain goals, we need certain initiatives. Through those initiatives, it becomes possible to achieve a particular goal. So, here also in order to achieve this sustainable development goals which we talked about in previous lecture, we need certain initiatives, and through these initiatives only it will be possible to achieve these sustainable development goals successfully. So, that is all for today's lecture students. Have a nice day. Thank you.